Good morning. My name is Terry Bussey, and I am the Human Resources Director for Graham Regional Medical Center in Graham, Texas. I'm going to spend a few minutes speaking to you about what to expect in the hiring and interview process. To begin, let's take a look at the resume. Your resume is a document that lists out your work experience, education, skills, and achievements. You will need one for most every application that you submit to an employer. Hiring managers spend about 7 seconds per resume received, so you have just a brief moment to showcase yourself in hopes that you can have your resume and application moved to the yes or consider for interview pile. Only about 13% of job applicants receive the opportunity to interview. So some key points about your resume: it needs to be truthful, it needs to be short and concise, and it needs to be error-free. Use engaging words that accurately describe your accomplishments. And also, an automatic no is a resume with any spelling, formatting, or grammatical errors. These type of errors can lead to an employer thinking that if you cannot take the time to present a professional document, why would you take the time to give professional work? It's typically a hard pass to the no pile. Also, some applications request a resume with a cover letter. The cover letter is different than the resume. It showcases and links your unique combination of skills and experience to the job. It doesn't simply restate the information in your resume. A quick Google search for resume templates or cover letters will give you a great start on creating your own. However, don't plagiarize. Hiring managers see and read hundreds of applications and resumes and cover letters a year. So we are all very familiar with the information that is presented on the internet. It needs to be unique to you. After the resume is submitted, you are encouraged to contact the employer within a few days to inquire on the status. However, one phone call or one email is plenty. You want the employer to remember you as someone who is proactive and interested in the position, not as someone who is desperate or pushy. And you don't want to call within the first 24 hours. Make sure the employer has had the time to actually look at your resume. So all your hard work pays off. The hiring manager wants to make contact with you for an interview. Make sure they can reach you, and make sure that you don't give them any preconceived ideas about who you are through your contact methods. So let's talk about voicemail. Avoid these scenarios. A bad voicemail. Record a simple, to the point voicemail. Hi, you've reached Terry Bussey. I'm sorry that I missed your call. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and I will return your call as soon as I can. Thank you. You want to avoid songs or your children leaving the voicemail for you. It's all about professionalism. It's also very frustrating if the voice mailbox is full or your voicemail box has not been set up. The hiring manager cannot leave a message and they may not try to call you again. Email. Email also needs to be professional. Use your first and last name. Try not to use numbers or underscores. Numbers and emails are often someone's birth year, and underscores are simply hard to read. While personalized email addresses such as cutemama of3@yahoo.com or crazyredneckforyou@gmail.com might be fun, they are also not professional. If your email address contains body parts, curse words, references to sex, race, biblical, or political affiliations, create a new one. Again, it's all about creating the professional image. Lastly, social media accounts. Employers look at them. If there is content on your feed that is inappropriate or conveys you in a manner that you would not want an employer to see, you need to remove it. The next several slides will look at the interview process. So the hiring manager has called and set up that coveted interview with you. What do you do next? It's not just simply show up for the interview. You have homework. It's critical that you do your research. You have to know the ins and outs of the website and the company. The hiring manager wants to know that you applied for this specific position with intent and because of the company, not just because you simply want a job. You need to be familiar with what does the company do? What's their mission statement? What's their history? How are they looking to grow and develop in the coming years? What role would you play in this growth? And you also need to have questions prepared for the interviewer. You will be given an opportunity at the end of the interview to ask any questions that may not have already been answered. What's the culture like? Is on-the-job training provided? Who will I report to? What characteristics will the successful applicant have? What does a typical day look like in this position? And it's also appropriate for you to ask about next steps in the interview process or when the hiring manager plans on making a decision. The interview is a two-way conversation. You are interviewing the company just like they are interviewing for you to make sure that it's an appropriate fit. So, what do you wear to the interview? The interviewer should remember your skills and your experience. Not your outfit, not your tattoos, not the strength of your cologne or perfume. While dress code at companies vary greatly, it makes a statement to be appropriately dressed. Again, it's about professionalism. If you're not sure what to wear, call and ask. And it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. Clothes should be clean, ironed, and fit well. Let's discuss a few interviewing etiquette tips. First, be early. There is zero reason to be late. If you're late, do not be surprised if the hiring manager cancels the interview. Be respectful of everyone's time. Also, have the contact name and number of the person you're interviewing with. When the receptionist checks you in and asks who you are meeting with, I'm not sure, is not the right answer. The receptionist may not know either. And having the contact information is important should an emergency occur on your way to the interview. You will want to notify the interviewer if you will be unable to attend. And bring extra copies of your resume and cover letter along with a list of professional references and reference letters if you have them, copies of any certifications, licensures, and education that you have, as well as any relevant awards. You are showcasing you. Bring a notepad and pen. You want to take notes during the interview and be able to jot down any follow-up questions that you may have. Is your breath fresh? Use breath mints. No gum chewing, please. Place your phone on silent or vibrate. It is incredibly distracting in an interview to have a cell phone go off. If possible, cover your tattoos. And lastly, speak well. It's hard sometimes, bro. It's like, yeah, that type of language, probably not going to get you the job. Now, the stressful part, the interview questions. Most hiring managers use what is called behavioral-based interviewing. These questions help the interviewer understand how you've performed and behaved in the past with results and scenarios. They do not ask you, what would you do if? They ask, tell me about a time when, or describe a situation where. The interviewer wants to actually know how you responded in a real life situation. While they still will ask questions such as, what are your top 3 strengths? What areas can you improve in? Your weaknesses. Or what is your long range goal? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Or even the odd questions such as, if you were an animal or fruit or brand, what would you be and why? You need to also be prepared to answer questions like, describe a situation when you had to work with a difficult customer. Tell me about a time when you made a mistake. Tell me about a time when your teamwork skills were put to the test. If you have little relevant work experience, your answers will be based on results on how you handled situations in school, within organizations, on sports teams, or at a part-time job. When you answer the behavioral-based questions, hiring managers like to see responses in the STAR format. Situation: describe the scene and provide relevant details of the example. The task: what was your role in the situation? The action: how did you address the situation? What steps did you take to overcome the challenge? And then the result: what was the outcome of the situation or the direct effects of your effort? A simple Google search of common job interview questions will help you prepare for the behavioral-based interview question. After the interview, it is important to send a thank you email or a written note depending on the culture of the company. It's rare that hiring managers receive these, so when an applicant does take that extra step, it does help them to stand out. So I have covered a lot of information with you this morning. The key takeaways from my presentation are: apply for the job that fits your skill set and career goal with an honest, concise, and error-free resume. Research the company. Prepare for the behavioral-based interview question with STAR answers about your real-life experiences. Highlight your strengths and don't be shy about your weaknesses. Be professional in all communication formats. First impression and last impression matter. Follow up with a thank you email. This concludes my portion of the presentation today. Therefore, just as you would be asked in an interview, what questions do you have for me today?
Please let me introduce Terry Bussey from Graham Regional Medical Center.
Good morning, students. Again, my name is Terry Bussey with Graham Regional Medical Center in Graham, Texas, and I hope that you found the presentation to give some insight and some helpful tips as you begin your journey into the career path. So I look forward to answering any questions that you may have.
Would you give a student interested in this career?
The biggest piece of advice that I can give to you is, like the image said on one of the slides, go into a career that you love. Going to do something that you do every day that you love and you enjoy doesn't make it a job. And so make sure whatever your career is, that it is your passion.
What are the steps to become an RN at Graham Regional Medical Center?
So you have to get your nursing license. So you would need to enroll in a nursing program at a university, but we do hire LVNs and registered nurses at Graham Regional, and we hire new students, new graduated students as well. So it begins with the application once you have your license from the school. A lot of organizations really enjoy bringing on new graduates because you can mold them to fit the culture of the organization.
What advice would you give regarding the interviewing session?
I would suggest, in a professional sense, be yourself. The interviewer wants to know who you are and if you are going to be a good fit for their organization. So as hard as it is to not be nervous, go in, smile, relax. A lot of interviewers today like to have the interview session be more of a conversation. While they still will ask those difficult questions, tell me about a time when you made a mistake. What are your greatest weaknesses? As long as you do your preparation for that and go in and enjoy the time, you'll present much better, and that interviewer will be able to see where you're going to fit in their organization.
What type of starting position and salary would someone entering this field be most likely to find?
Really depends on the job. You know, if you're coming in as a new RN, that pay is going to be substantially different than someone coming in as an entry-level receptionist. So it depends on the career path that you are on. But what I have found is you need to be realistic in your expectations for salary. Do research online about what starting pays are for your area, because it's very frustrating to the applicant if they're expecting to make a salary way up here and they've not done their research, and then that offer comes in and it's down here. So it really depends on the career, but do your research for the salary.
Has technology changed your job, and what changes do you see in the future?
Technology, especially in 2020, has changed my job. This is a prime example. A lot of interviews are being done virtually, meetings are done virtually, and it's really hard to get the comfort level with the applicant or in the meeting sessions. And I anticipate this is easier for a lot of organizations too, to, you know, set this up as opposed to fly somebody in or set up a meeting time. So technology absolutely has changed every point of the personal aspect of HR.
What type of part-time jobs, internships, or extracurricular activities would best prepare you for this occupation?
Again, that goes back to, you know, what is your passion? So if you are wanting to get into a sales position, you're going to want to get a part-time job that has a lot to do with building relationships or customer service. If you're wanting to get into the medical field, if you can even start out in an office as a receptionist so that you can get familiar with the language and the terminology that's used in a medical setting, anything that's going to ultimately give you more knowledge in that particular field is an area that you want to strive to get a job in.
How have you been working with COVID-19?
COVID-19, that has definitely presented a lot of challenges. It takes a lot of forethought for the hospital. We're constantly planning for staffing needs, and that's probably our biggest challenge at the moment, is trying to keep our own staff healthy so that we have them there to take care of an influx of patients. So it's daily meetings, constantly reviewing what's being said with the CDC, the guidelines are changing, even from a human resource perspective, the Department of Labor and those guidelines change daily. So it's just a lot of education, a lot of researching, networking to make sure that we're staying on top of all of the ever-changing trends.
All right, that wraps up our questions. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for attending the Graham Regional Medical Center session. Each session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube page after the event.